Hey, thanks for joining us, man. Let's talk about Vanishing Point. Now, you're in a bit of a weird situation. Well, we all are. In a bit of a twilight zone. You came out with this album. Gee, how long ago now? Year and a half? 2 years?
Yeah, a year and a half ago. Yeah, so August 2020, man. Yeah.
Have you toured in support of it at all?
No. Long story short, we tried to get out there earlier on, but because of the pandemic and the lockdowns and stuff like that, it was more or less a situation that it was rescheduled twice since. So this is now third time lucky. So we're getting out there now. It's a bit strange, obviously, releasing an album back in 2020. Normally with the band, the band's like, either tours a little bit just before album release or just shortly or during album release. Whereas to, how could you say, wait a year and a half or close to 2 years coming up to August. It's strange, but, better late than never, as I say. So.
Absolutely better late than never, but it just must feel really, really weird.
It does, man. I mean, like we've already started doing pre-production for the next album. So it's this is like, okay, it's like, how bands do like, small tours to, how could you say, probably raise awareness or do a bit of a tribute to one of their albums. It feels like we're doing a tribute to the album so long after it's been released. But, we're keen to get out there, man. It's going to be good fun.
Doing a tribute to yourselves.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the album. Now, that was a great album, made one of my top albums of the year for 2020. Apart from me, how's the response been to it?
It's been good. It's been really good. It was a bit of a strange situation because, there were a lot of bands like ourselves who released albums back in 2020, which was really in the early days of the pandemic worldwide, more or less. So there was a factor involved where some of the albums got swallowed up because there was, more important things going on. But with that being said, it gained really good traction. We've got some new fans worldwide, who like our stuff as a result of the album. The record company, here in Australia at that time that we were with, and the record label, of course, AFM, in Europe, did the best they could under the circumstances. So it was a thing for us where a lot of people were saying, well, why don't you maybe stall the album or wait till things are a little bit clearer? But for us, it was more or less like, well, better to get it out there, you know what I mean? Because it was already 7 years between releases. And in that time, we do write a lot of music as well. So we don't want it to be a 7-8 year gap. It's just crazy. And it's unfair for the people out there who support us.
Yeah.
The response overall was really good, really positive, given that, the pandemic was on, it was good. We were happy with it.
I didn't listen to as much new music at any stage in my life ever, in comparison to that time, because you were sitting at home doing nothing.
Yep.
So, but a lot of water does go under the bridge in 7 years, doesn't it?
It does. Look, you've got this thing with the heavy metal music scene, and I think it's any music scene worldwide. You have so many bands within the genres, the subgenres, and they're all releasing albums at the time. So it can be listener overload, more or less, or band overload with all the releases. But look, we're just normal guys. We're happy and humble to get the music out there when we can, and we were happy with the response. And album number 6 under our belt. We're preparing for album number 7, so everything's moving along okay. We can't complain.
So you're coming over here. That's Adelaide, of course. Saturday, 21st of May. Interesting night to, as it turns out, to be playing. Enigma Bar with Skyhammer and Shadow Realm. You know about those guys?
Absolutely. So Shadow Realm is actually a band that I've always wanted to play with for a long time. I like what they do. It's really good power metal. It's got a lot of energy. And Skyhammer, I like what those guys do as well. I've known Andrew for a long time now, and they're really nice guys. They've followed VP for a long time. So it's really cool feeling to be playing with friends, but also playing with a band like Shadow Realm that we've never had a chance to actually share the stage with so far. So, you know, when the opportunity came up, we're just like, yeah, man, let's do this, you know. And it's a good thing. We like Adelaide a lot. It's a lovely little place. I actually love coming to Adelaide. It's always been a place where I've enjoyed the people, but also the drive from Victoria to Adelaide is probably one of my favorite drives ever. It's just really calm and chilling, and you get to Adelaide within 7.5 hours, and the people are very relaxed. They're not as crazy as, you know, Melbourne. It's not as mental as Melbourne in a respect. But I mean, you know, Adelaide's always been really good to us. Always has been.
Have they fixed the roads on your side of the border yet?
Well, truth be known, I don't know, because last time we came to Adelaide and I drove there, it was 2018. So it's 4 years, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we were endeavoring to come back in early 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and we're just like, you know, but yeah, when you get into Adelaide, the roads are really good. We've noticed, even though there's single lane a majority of the way, but there's always overtaking lanes. Whereas on the Victorian side, man, it's just like Massey Ferguson tractor territory, more or less. We're happy to get out there after all this time. You know, I mean, it's been a long delay. There's been a lot of, like, you know, how could you say, you know, delays, postponements because of the pandemic, but we're just really stoked to get out there. Whether we're playing to 10 people, 100 people, or 1,000 people, we don't care. We're just looking forward to coming out and playing a gig.
Been a lot of false starts, hasn't there?
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, it's a bit strange, you know what I mean? But at the same time too, we're just rapt to get out there, man. It's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. And the other thing is too, we've got these two guys that have been with the band for 2.5 years now, Damien and Gaston. You know what I mean? So it's actually going to be our first gigs with them. You know what I mean? We're throwing them into the hot water, deep end with us. But it's going to be good fun, and they're two really good guys. They're really humble dudes, and it's going to be great finally sharing the stage with them.
Hey, we touched on the overseas record company before.
Yes.
Anything in the pipeline for yourselves over there?
In regards to touring?
Am I jumping? Yeah, regard to touring, am I jumping too far ahead there?
No, ask any questions you want, man. At the moment, it's more or less a situation, I think, that overseas, it's like, you know, catching up on what was previously booked with a lot of the tours that got cancelled or postponed. But I think that, realistically speaking, I think it's going to be a case for us that more or less we concentrate on recording and releasing the next album, and then get back to overseas touring and doing the circuit. You know, there's obviously, you know, some interest here and there for America. There's interest for Europe. There's, you know, interest for Japan. We did Japan, I mean, a long time ago now, back in 2014, did our first headlining tour there. We'd love to go back there. I think at the same token too, we're realistic in the sense that, you know, post-pandemic, everything's shaken up, you know what I mean? So we'd have to have a look at how affordable it is for us to go overseas, because it's a lot of money. You know what I mean? When you're getting on a tour and you're a support band, then there is a lot of costs involved. So I think looking at it at the moment, we're pretty much doing this tour to get back out there and then have some fun, meet up with all our friends and fans and all that out there, and then concentrate when it finishes, getting this new album done. We've had the new album written for over a year now. So we're currently doing pre-production with Silvio and Dean Wells in the studio for vocal production. And that's working really well. We just got our first song pretty much done, but the whole album's there, and that's what our focus will be, is getting that done. Then I think we're going to like look upon opportunities for, you know, the following year or when the album comes out, which we're planning on not having a 7-year break in between albums, man. It's not going to happen. We're hoping that basically, you know, mid next year, new albums out. That's the goal. That's the plan. And getting back out there and playing not only in Australia, you know, around Australia, but playing overseas, you know. And I'd love to do, speaking of Australia, I'd love to do some regional shows as well in the future and get back to Western Australia as well, to Perth. I mean, it's been several years since we've been in Perth. I think it was 2016. So, you know, it'd be good to get back to them places as well.
Going to Perth is like going overseas, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is, man.
No offense to my Perth people. I love it in Perth. But,
yeah.
it's a long way.
Well, I mean, we got some messages on our Vanishing Point Facebook page, for example, that that people were saying, why no Perth dates? And we're just like, sorry guys, it's just unaffordable, unattainable at the moment. And so whenever somebody says to us at the moment, come to Perth, it's like the old come to Brazil, saying, it's like, we're not going to come to Brazil. We don't know anybody there. Whereas, of course, with Perth, it's different. We know a lot of people there, a lot of friends, and all them people who follow the band. So we look forward to getting there, but it's just, at the moment, it's not to be, unfortunately.
I remember chatting to you about the last album, and you touched on it very briefly at some stage about Silvio. How's his voice going? How's he going? How's he going in general? And how's his voice
going? Good. Yeah, so with Silvio, it's a situation that I'm in, like, he's been up and open about it. He's got Crohn's disease. So he has to look after his health, more or less. And he does that. With that being said, he's a workaholic.
Doesn't help, does it?
It doesn't help, but who isn't, especially when you're self-employed, I suppose, you do what you can do to pay the bills and keep the family going and keep the roof over your head. But he's going really good. So we took 2 weeks off just recently from rehearsals. We get back this Thursday, but he's going great. He's really been pumping out his voice nicely in the studio. I think he's really found his mojo. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting back out there with him because, of course, he's our vocalist, he's our brother in the band. Whereas, previously, last time we played Melbourne and Sydney was supporting Rhapsody, and unfortunately, Silvio couldn't do those shows with us. We had a guy, Callum, from Defiant Dawn / used to be called Battle Bard in Sydney, filling in for Silvio. And that was an okay experiment, but at the same time, too, we're in a situation where we didn't want to cancel the shows. So we proceeded with them. Looking back in retrospect, should we have held off? Maybe. At the same time, too, we're glad to have them done. But now moving forward 4 years, we're happy to get back out there with Sylv, on the mic, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing him sing as well. So it's
gonna be good. Yeah. Great voice on him.
Great voice, great guy, great vocalist. He puts up with a lot of my bullshit. No, he's a great guy. I mean, I've been in Vanishing Point now 25 years, coming up in September. And he's been in the band 27 years. And I think after all this time, in a quarter of a century, us putting up with each other, I think we've got something okay going. I think we know when to switch off and when to switch on.
Yeah.
Why not?
I reckon we're just about done, man.
Easy done, man. Mel, good to talk to you after all this time once again, bro.
Horns, man. Both horns. Come on. Right. Yeah, really good, man.
But it's always good to talk to you, man. Thank you, as usual. I mean, I say this to everybody, but thank you so much for your support. I mean, without you guys, mentioning us and plugging us as well, it'd make our job way harder than what it is. And we're always appreciative of everybody's support and everybody's input, man. So mega respect to you, dude.
Always a pleasure.